Last week I was talking about how the main motivation people have to initiate conversations is anxiety. And this week I'd like to go into the details of the processes that are actually occurring. There's different types of context that will generate different types of dynamics. Namely, things are not going to be the same if you are having a one-on-one conversation as if you were having a conversation with multiple people, with a group. Now, when you're having a discussion with people in a group, things are different if it is a group of people that don't know you, if it's a group of people that do know you, or if it's a group of strangers meeting for the first time. If you're in a one-on-one conversation, the program that's going to be running through a neurotypical's mind is, will this person accept me? Acceptance is something that has very deep meaning in the mind and subconscious processes of neurotypicals. And this has very deep biological roots. You have to understand that in the wilderness and primitive survival conditions, it's much easier for one person to execute a task for 5 to 10 people than it is for one person to execute 5 to 10 tasks for himself. In this context, it's very close to a death sentence to be excluded from the group. On top of this, neurotypicals need feedback from others for their sense of identity. Neurotypicals will accept the identity that is reflected back to them by others. Loneliness is not just boring to neurotypicals. It literally has life-threatening effects on them. Now, if you observe neurotypical relationships with people who are close, the silent treatment is a classic strategy to compel and coerce behavior from others. If you make a neurotypical feel excluded, it's going to be very hurtful to them. They're likely to hold a grudge. Now, when a neurotypical initiates a conversation out of a need to appease anxieties linked to self-identity and to social acceptance, they're going to open with subjects they feel are safe. Things like sports, weather, celebrity gossip, or any other type of insignificant and uninteresting matter. If somebody comes to you and says, "Have you seen the game last night?" You probably haven't, and you probably don't care. But if you just say no and turn back to reading the history of timetable management, which is what you really want to do, you've just injured that poor neurotypical sense of self. And that injury is likely to get infected in the form of anger and potentially hatred towards you. Now you see, when two neurotypicals are talking to each other, the subconscious subtext is typically both of them simultaneously telling the other, "What am I worth? Please give me value." Now, because they recognize each other in their need for a sense of value and mutually identify in this need, they have a conversation that is productive. It reassures and appeases their anxieties. Now, to come back to our conversation where your neurotypical friend initiates with, "Have you seen the game last night?" If you answer, "No, how was it?" then suddenly the flow is maintained. At this point, even if you start asking questions that reveal that you have no idea what the sport is and what the rules are or who the players are or whatever, it doesn't matter because there is flow. The subtext of the communication he is sending towards you is, who am I? What am I worth? He's expecting you to send basically the same thing. Who am I? What am I worth from you? If instead you tailor your communication to have the subtext, tell me who you are. I find worth in that. Then you have placed yourself into a category of people that is very precious to others. Now this is very useful and this is very powerful, but you have to be careful because I've seen this backfire on many occasions. Namely with people who have severe emotional injuries. These people will get very dependent and even emotionally vampiric with anyone who provides them with a sense of self-worth. Next week, we're going to talk about the dynamics of interacting with groups. In itself, that's a fascinating subject. So, as usual, with the tricks I gave you this week, test them out, experiment with them, and let me know how it goes.